Hello and welcome to the Champaign Aviation Museum. My name is Dave Schiffer. I'm the Executive Director. The museum is a 501c3 nonprofit and depends on the generosity of people just like you. I want to do a few things during this video. One is to introduce you to some of the volunteers that come and why they come and the emotional attachment that they have. Two is to show you around the museum, and three, we need your help. I'd also like to show you what's possible, the potential, what we want to do, and I hope you'll consider being a part of that.
My dad was Robert E. Farr. He was in the Army Air Corps. He was stationed in Lavenham, England in 1944 and 1945. He was a tail gunner on a B-17 in the 487th Bomb Group. My father had 28 missions, and he was actually on a mission when the war ended. And he had some notes that he brought back with him, and said on his last note, "War is over, told to drop bombs in the English Channel, and we're going to have a party tonight." So he was very fortunate, and I feel very fortunate to be his son. I lost my dad in 1978, and I just really feel that that he knows what's going on here, and that makes me feel good too.
The people are great. The veterans, we love coming up here and getting to interact with the veterans, but the volunteers, it's just a special place. Everybody up here is special.
My background is 33 years in the Air Force, active duty. My father was 30 years active duty, so I've been around the Air Force all my life. My father was, he enlisted in the Air Force, the Army, well actually the Army Air Force, in one year after Pearl Harbor. He ended up being a gunner on B-17s. Very interesting story about, he flew 23 missions, shot down on his 23rd. And I feel so fortunate because I've been able to see the places where he was. I've seen a lot of his targets. Went to Grafton Underwood, which is where he flew out of. And I actually met the French guy that helped him out of the airplane when they crash landed in France. Well, to me it's special because as an aircraft maintainer, I've always worked on airplanes. You don't get an opportunity to do that just anytime, any place anymore. And so coming up here and actually doing hands-on stuff, making parts for this airplane, getting her ready to fly, to me that's just a dream. You know, just to me it doesn't get any better.
We're here today in the cockpit of the Champaign Gal, the B-25 here at the Champaign Aviation Museum. One of the neatest experiences, especially in the summer, is when families will come in, and typically you'll see a grandpa and 2 or 3 generations of kids down there, and they say, well, you know, we heard about your museum and we wanted to bring my grandpa because he, and then they'll rattle off, he either flew the airplane, he used to work on them, did this in the Army, did this in the military during World War II, or even Korea and Vietnam. But they've got that sense of awe for what we're doing here. And the neat thing is we stop what we're doing, you put the tools down, you start to talk to them, share with them, show them around, and it's just a great respect for those veterans and their families. And so it's been very neat to be a part of that for these years. And that's one of the things I think is great about our museum. It's not, we're not too busy to take time for visitors. And I think we welcome people with open arms here. So if you're ever interested in coming up, please come. I always tell people, I invite as many as I can to come up. Not to get you to work, but just to see this. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, I think we got to preserve the history of the World War II artifacts. It's like everything else in the history of World War II. If you don't know your history from where you've been, you don't know really where you're going. Champaign Aviation Museum and all the people involved are trying to put together a good B-17 to fly. It's history all over again. That's the way to experience history now, and not just read it in a book or look at it on TV. That's the benefit, I think, of a museum like this, that you can come in and have a hands-on experience. So it's just important, I think, to keep history alive. And I think museums like the Champaign Aviation Museum do a wonderful job in that respect.
The goals for our capital campaign are to add hangar space, restoration workshop space, and educational space. Our goal is to make the Champaign Aviation Museum a center of excellence for the restoration and continued maintenance of World War II era aircraft. Here you're involved, you're a part of the museum, you're able to touch things, you're able to see people working. We want to keep that alive. Please consider a donation to our capital campaign. It's very important that we keep these aircraft flying so the younger generations and generations after that can see the aircraft that preserved our freedom. Thank you, and God bless.